Hey guys, it's Jono, and in this video, what I want to do is quickly share with you how I built my DJ photo and video business from effectively $0 to $1.2 million and on track earnings for over $1 million within really just 4 months, right? So from essentially the beginning to the 4 month period, how I was able to get to over $1 million on track earnings. And if you don't run a DJ photo or video business, don't worry, the same kind of principles are going to apply to your business as well. So let's get into it. There's essentially really a few variables that you need to consider. One is the marketing. Then there's the sales. And then after the sales, it's the fulfillment slash automation, right? So how can you speed up that fulfillment? How can you make it so that you're not the one that's actually having to do the work? So we're going to start with the marketing here. Now, for my particular business, I started out with a DJ business called DJing.ca, and we actually started in Vancouver. Now, the issue with this business is that there's not a lot of leads in this business. And the reason there's not a lot of leads is because think about a wedding DJ company. Well, you get married once and you're ideally, hopefully, the goal is to not get married again. So you're only going to be a one-time client one time and that's it, right? Now, compare that to like an accounting firm where you hire customers, right? Or you get customers and they're maybe on a retainer, right? A monthly retainer, they're constantly paying you. Or maybe you have, you're selling products like lip balm and somebody, puts on lip balm and then 6 months later they need to buy it again and again and again. That's not the case, right? So it's once in a lifetime customers. And obviously, it's hard to get a lot of those people. So we thought about it and we looked at next of kin businesses and we realized, well, if people are looking for DJ services, they're probably also looking for other services too. So what in the wedding space can we provide? And we came across photography and videography. It kind of fit all the metrics that we wanted. Things that we were looking for is just something where we could there's a lot of search demand. There's a lot of demand for it. There's a lot of search for it as well. It was easy enough to fulfill, and it wasn't too boutique of a service offering, right? You could really productize the service, if you will, so that there wasn't too many one-off scenarios. So we ended up moving into 3 different niches, and we were trying to be as laser focused as possible in those niches, right? But even then, we still weren't getting enough leads to be able to scale properly. So what we ended up doing was we ended up horizontally scaling from city to city to city. So Vancouver to Toronto, these are all Canadian cities, by the way, to Montreal, to Ottawa, Calgary, Edmonton, and so on and so forth, right? So now we had this massive surface area where we could acquire customers in a ton of different spots. So it gave us a lot of different opportunities to acquire leads, but it doesn't mean that we're necessarily going to acquire leads. So what we ended up doing is really focusing our efforts on 4 different marketing paths. And I'm not going to claim these are the best ones. These are just the ones we're the best at. So it makes sense for us to do it. And we hyper focused our time on these 4 acquisition channels. Number 1 is Google Ads. Number 2 is SEO. SEO is more of a late stage kind of strategy. You probably shouldn't. I wouldn't personally do it if I was just starting out because you're not going to get leads for potentially a year or two doing it. And then the last 2 are Bark and Wedding Wire. These are essentially lead aggregators. They can you can purchase leads on Wedding Wire. It's specific to the wedding industry, but you will buy leads on a subscription basis. You'll pay monthly, and then you'll get a certain amount of leads. And with Bark.com, what's going to happen is it's a pay to play model, so you can pay for particular leads. These are great, particularly when you're starting out, because you can start up a business in the same day you can get customers, right? So it's fantastic. As you progress in your business, the thing is it's not as reliable, or I shouldn't say reliable. It's just not as good of a marketing stream because ultimately speaking, the lead quality isn't the best, right? And because the lead quality isn't the best, you're not converting as many of these people. And while the leads are cheap, you're still spending a disproportionate amount of time and money trying to close a deal. So, on Bark, you might pay $10 or $20 for a lead, which might appear good when you're spending maybe 30 or 40 or $50 on Google Ads. But you're going to have to call 2 to 3 times as many people just to close a deal. Same thing with Wedding Wire. Most of the people that you'll talk to, I shouldn't say most, but a lot of them they're in the research and planning phase, right? So they're not necessarily ready to pull the trigger. A lot of them, they just never even pick up the phone, reply to text messages, reply to emails, no matter how many times you reach out to them. You just can't get a hold of them. Could be a fake lead, or it could just be somebody that's a bit overwhelmed and they just don't know what to do, and they put it on pause. It could be a million different things, right? So those are the 4 lead acquisition channels that we focused on that allowed us to scale incredibly quickly. Then once you get the leads, what you want to make sure to do is be able to essentially sell effectively, right? So we broke it down into a productized service offering where instead of doing, and this is our sales sheet, by the way, where you can see our pricing, but essentially, instead of having, bouquet services, or sorry, boutique services where we're doing one-off kind of specialty events for one person and we're always switching up, we just standardized it. We just said, you know what? This is the service offering we have. We're keeping it laser focused, going a mile deep and an inch wide instead of a mile wide and an inch deep, and trying to capture everybody in the marketplace. We just wanted to cater towards our particular customer profile. And that allowed us to scale really quickly, because the reality is when you have enough high quality leads, and you can get these high quality leads today off Bark and Wedding Wire, you can be selective, right? And I like to follow what's called the Pareto principle, where 80% of your time will be spent servicing 20% of your clients, and 20% of your time will be spent servicing 80% of your clients. So if you can effectively remove that top 20% that takes up 80% of your time, then you can just focus on the clients that you want, right? So that's what we did, and we just were pretty selective at the disqualifying stage so that we didn't work with people that we didn't want to work with. And we had that luxury because we had the leads coming in to be able to make those decisions. When it comes to the pricing, once again, we tried to productize the offerings. There wasn't, of course, there's a lot of flexibility, and you can add on upsells and all that kind of stuff. And by adding on upsells like MC services, for example, it will change the pricing at the bottom, but at the end of the day, we just tried to productize the offering so that it was just standardized, right? And that it wasn't so much of a headache to always try and be dealing with one-off clients. So once you kind of get that sales process nailed down, you have something that can scale, then you probably want to focus on the fulfillment. And in our case, this is what our fulfillment process looked like. After a contract was signed and paid, then we'd have to assign a contractor to it, right? And then after that, we need the customer to fill out their information, right, through a planning form. And this is things like, for DJ services, what are the playlists for your wedding? What is the venue? Where can we unload the equipment? How early can we come? All that kind of stuff, just like like specific questions around being able to understand their event and be able to, succeed at a high level. And then after we have this filled out, we want to call them, touch base, make sure we're on the same page, and then service the event. And then, we're going to have to edit the photos afterwards, and then maybe there's some revisions and so on. And this is just, really, really simplified version, but this is kind of the customer life cycle that somebody goes through when they sign the contract, right? And when it comes to fulfillment, this might not seem like a lot, but if you're doing this 1,000 times in 4 months, it's going to be pretty overwhelming, right? Because obviously, if it's 5 people, you can manage it. But when it's thousands of people, you have a team, you need those team members to be able to do it and standardize it and make sure nothing's missed. That's when it becomes really challenging, right? So a great way to do that is to automate these processes and really look at the bottlenecks in your business and figure out, well, how can I remove those bottlenecks and create an automated process that essentially allows me to remove myself and other people so that it's just systematically done and there's very little to no errors. every single time. So as an example, let's say you're having the planning forms filled out. What some people would do is they'd go and they'd meet the customer in a coffee shop. They'd buy them coffee, which is great, and then they get to know them and they'd plan these forms out, right? Which is fantastic, right? But if you're doing 1,000 events in 4 months, you're probably not going to be able to do that at scale. So a better way to do it would be to have planning forms online where the customers can go through and fill out those forms. So I'll kind of show you what ours looks like so you can kind of take a look at it. So we just have online planning forms, and this is essentially what the customers will fill out. Now, keep in mind, it's all custom software here, and the planning forms are actually locked. So unfortunately, let me just see. I'm going to pause this. I'm going to open these back up. All right, so we're back. So this is kind of what the planning forms look like. And we actually send automated emails to the customer, right? So that it reminds them to fill this out, right? Because a lot of the times people might forget. So this is just one instance where you can automate a process where you automatically send emails or text messages. You remind the customer to fill out the information, and then you have all of that information available to you. And you don't actually have to spend the time commuting over to the coffee shop, spending the time there and doing that, 1,000 times over again. So this is just one of the many processes that you can implement to really speed up your workflow and remove any bottlenecks that are holding you back. Now, in terms of running this business, it hasn't always been easy. Yes, we grew really fast, but growing really fast comes with its own problems too, specifically cash flow, and then you're cash strapped, and that can lead to insolvency or bankruptcy if you're not careful with your finances, right? I'm not going to pretend like it was a gravy train from the beginning. We really struggled a lot. There was months where we lost money. There was months where we broke even. There was months where we also did really, really well. And for the first year, through that growth phase, it was incredibly difficult. And by being able to scale up, and automate all the processes, it really reduced the amount of time required. And by hiring the right staff, having automated systems in place, I was able to effectively go from working maybe 12 hours a day on this business, almost, 7 days a week, to almost working like maybe if I wanted to 30 minutes a day. So being able to automate systems and being able to figure out the marketing and the sales is just really game changing. And that's effectively how I did it. I hope this helped. If you guys want to learn more about how these processes work, how you can automate your business, how you can improve your marketing or sales or hire the right team, then please hit the subscribe button down below. And please like this video if you found it interesting, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you very much and have a wonderful day.